I've tried making this video a few times now, and I found that a flaw in it was that I was focusing on what I looked like in the video. Like I was doing my hair for it, I was writing all my lines out ready, and I was putting them aside so I'd read them off like it was really scripted. And it wouldn't quite click, it didn't quite look right. And I didn't know why that was. Something told me that it wasn't right and that something wasn't right. And it took me a while to figure out, but I figured out that I wasn't doing it for God. I wasn't making this video for God. I was doing it for me, and I was doing it to try and make me look good. I was trying to do it for me. And really, I should be doing it for God. And that's what I'm doing now. I don't really care what I look like. I'm not got any words, I'm just going to speak solely from the heart, really. What I really just want to do is I want to share my story. I feel this is the best way to do it. And I feel this is the talent that God's given me, is making videos, and I feel that this can be the start of something amazing for me. So, yeah, I am only young, and some of you may be thinking, oh, what's this 16-year-old going to say that's going to influence me and my faith? And I don't have an answer to that. And that's because that's the incredible thing about faith. It can affect so many people in so many different ways. I know it's definitely affecting me. I've been brought up in a Christian family, so I've been shown God at a young age. But I didn't really listen. I didn't know what anyone was on about in Sunday school. I was a pretty annoying kid. Ask anyone who knew me when I was a kid. I'm sure they'll vouch for me. I was of pain. I was mischievous. I would choose any point, no matter where I was, no matter who I hurt or affected, I would choose any point to try and get a laugh. I wasn't a very nice person. I wouldn't say a bully, but I wasn't nice. However, I was popular at school, and I was liked at school, and people liked who I was, and I did what I did to impress other people around me. It did work, but I wasn't popular at home. No, my attitude was really bad. I'd speak to my parents really badly. I did these things because I thought that's what you had to do to get through school. But looking back, you don't. As hard as it may seem, but you can be yourself. You can show your faith, you can show what you think, but I didn't with that then. I didn't have any faith because I didn't look into it. My faith was pretty much non-existent back then. Because of the person I was, I didn't really think I needed faith. I didn't need God in my life, as I thought. Until one day, I remember I came home and walked upstairs and looked into my mum's room, and she was on the bed crying. Tears were flooding out, and I asked what was wrong, and it was me. There was another phone call home about my behaviour, and it was me. I was the cause of the pain that my mum was feeling. And it's then that I sort of realised that I'm doing this. I'm a disappointment. So I thought I needed to change. I needed something to happen. So I did turn to God. I started praying non-stop for something to happen, like something to come. I didn't necessarily know what I was asking for, but I was praying for something to happen and something to be shown to me from God. But I didn't get anything. So I did the worst thing that I could do. I gave up. I thought, right, God doesn't obviously care. God doesn't care what I'm going through, so I just don't need him. So I thought I'd live my life without God, and I did. I went on living my life without God for many years. I was sort of switching in these phases. I'd go through phases where I'd be like, yeah, I need God. Go on, I pray for a bit, pray for about a few days, and I thought, no, you know what, forget it, don't need him. And that would be on and off for ages, for years. I'd be on and off like that. And it was only coming to this summer, 2015, our church does a church camp. And coming to that, I didn't have a faith. I was not a very nice person. I was free to be myself around people, so I would go along cursing to God, denying that I had a faith, because quite frankly I didn't. So yeah, this was all in the lead up. This was how my faith was in the lead up to Hungerton 2015. It's a camp our church do, and usually I just go there to sort of mess around with my friends, because they go, and it's a fun time to just chill around a camp, mess around, not really thinking about God. Even though He's there, there's people saying it into my ear, there's people speaking about it. I wasn't really paying attention in previous years. But this year, I went with the same mindset. I was just going to mess around. But it was the first session, and it got me thinking. We had a guest speaker, Tom Butler, speaking. He was saying about how you've got to put God first in everything you do. And that spoke to me, that really grabbed my attention. For some reason, I started crying. Non-stop crying. I didn't know why this was happening to me, but I was just crying and crying and crying. So I went out of the room and I just sat on my own and thinking, what is happening to me? What am I doing? Why am I crying? Why am I out here on my own crying? And a few people from the church congregation came over to me and they spoke to me. I had so many questions and they were just firing out, and they did so well to answer them all, and I'm so grateful that those people came over and spoke to me. And in a nutshell, basically what they said to me is I need to pray. I need to pray. Now praying is always something that I found hard to do. It's not come naturally to me. I just used to ramble on in my head, and then I'd get bored, I'd say it before I go to bed, but then I'd be halfway through a prayer and I'd just fall asleep. Because I just wouldn't be gripped by it, I wouldn't be able to concentrate. And I didn't really see the point in it. I thought it was something that I had to do if I was Christian. And I wasn't Christian, so I just didn't pray. And so this idea of praying straight away, just after I started crying, it was a bit of a shock to me. And they were just saying I should pray. But I did, and I sat on my own in a field and prayed. I didn't say much, but I sat there for a good 20 minutes, just on my own. I sat with my eyes closed. I felt someone there with me. It's the oddest sensation. I can't really describe it, but it is such a great feeling. And I felt someone there with me, and I could just sit in silence with this feeling. I could just sit in silence feeling this. And I just loved it. And I remember saying, before I stopped, I remember saying, Father, lead me, because I can't do this alone. And then I felt this overwhelming sort of happiness inside. And I stopped praying, I went away, and I didn't really, this is really bad, but I didn't really think anything of it. I did that prayer, and then I left it until the session the next day, which I then got the same feeling when Tom Butler had another amazing session. I started praying with Josh, and we were praying, and then he said to me that he had been told something by God earlier on today, and he thought it applied to me, he thought that I needed to hear this. And he said to me, to increase, you need to decrease. And that spoke to me, that did. Because I've been focusing so much on myself that I needed to decrease in what I thought of myself and how much I cared about myself to increase in my faith. That's what I took from that. And I just started turning. Josh was just here and I just started turning. My hands were out. I started turning and I felt Josh holding my hand. I started turning towards here and I opened my eyes just a bit just to see Josh holding my hand, and it wasn't Josh holding my hand. No one was holding my hand. It was just open and it felt like someone was holding it like that. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. And it was then that I knew I was ready to let God in. I then dropped to my knees and I started praising. I started closing my eyes and it's just a bit of a blackout. Not quite knowing what happened then. But whatever, I know what I was seeing and what I was feeling and what I was experiencing was amazing. Yeah. What other people were seeing was me laying on the floor at one moment, then all of a sudden I'd shoot up, my arm would shoot up. And then I'd just be thrown across the room, or I'd be just jump up to my legs and then jump back down again, and then I'd just throw out. But I remember at all points, one of my body parts or some part of me was like pushed out towards the sky, reaching to God. And I'd be thrown about so many times, thrown about across the room. I'd be standing at one point and then all of a sudden I'd just drop to the floor with such a thud and such force. But I'd have no marks, man. I'd have no cuts, no bruises. I wouldn't be feeling any pain. And that's, I think that's amazing. And I remember at one point, I remember this feeling. I was laying down and I just tensed up in my body and my chest just here. Felt like it was getting reached down. It felt like God was inside my heart. I know it's a weird thing to describe, but I was just tensed up and I was like pushing out. And some people described it as I was almost levitating. And I've tried to reenact that, I've tried to do it again, and I can't do it because it looks quite cool to do, but I just couldn't do it. I was like trying it, I couldn't do it. But when I was there in that moment, I was just, my heart was getting pulled towards the sky. And it just felt absolutely incredible. And I can't stop smiling. It was when I was there, and what I felt in my head, it wasn't necessarily God speaking to me, it was God speaking through me. He'd like put thoughts in my head and I'd speak them and I'd know if they were right. So I'd speak like some suggestions, like I'd be saying, what do you want from me, Lord? What do you want me to do? And he'd sort of made them come out, made the words come out of me. And that was amazing. Absolutely amazing to feel that. And I feel so lucky to have been the one that God has chosen that to happen, because it's not only my prayers that God has answered there, it's everyone in that room around me. Everyone who saw that has taken something from that experience, and I feel like God's used me as a sort of messenger. And that for me, that's incredible. To be used like that. So yeah, what I felt God told me in that moment, he told me that, I wrote it down all the way after, but he told me that I need to be myself and be happy and spread his message, spread his word. But he didn't tell me how to do it, and that's what's been boggling my mind. I remember so clearly him saying that if I trust him with my life and I do good things for him and live my life for God, I will be rewarded in heaven. And I know that for a fact. No doubt, absolutely no doubt, that if I live my life for God, I will be rewarded in heaven, because I know that as a fact. I want to continue living my life for God now. And after this experience, after this incredible experience, there's nothing else I want to do. There's nothing else that I can think of doing rather than living my life for God. That I've got such a passion for him now. I went from having no faith and being so confused to having all my questions answered. I feel that night I was blessed enough to feel God's love for me and feel God's presence. I'm so excited for the journey that I'm yet to embark on.